Welcome to day 2 of solving systems. I'm warning you right now, today is tricky, especially since yesterday or the first video probably seemed fairly easy to a lot of you. This one you actually have to think, and there's some needing to know math to be able to do this, but you can do it. Everybody can do this. I've tried to make it as simple as possible so that you learn their concept but don't get too bogged down in how difficult it could be. We do this part, the multiplying part, as easy as we can. So let's see what this means for us. Remember we had, oops, I don't have the steps in here. We had 4, 5, 6 steps, I don't know. Well, now we need to add a step, okay? Because sometimes, yesterday, everything was all nice and pretty, and we had variables that had the same coefficient, and one was positive and one was negative. I gave that to you yesterday. Well, unfortunately today we have to make that be a thing, okay? So we're going to have to force the elimination, meaning we have to multiply some so that the coefficients have the same number and the same side, okay? This whole sometimes even twice, that is true, but I'm not making you do it twice. We're only going to have to do this once to one of our equations. Make sure that you have written this down in your notes for the day so that you have it and I can see it when you turn in your notes, and let's do some examples. So here's what I mean. Notice that, first of all, remember we need to have the same coefficient, or that means the number in front of x, and we need to have opposite signs, or one's positive, one's negative, right? So notice here, this is negative, this is positive, so that's good, and this is positive and this is negative, so that's good. But we don't have the same number, and we don't have the same number. So this is where it gets tricky for you, in that you need to think about which of these numbers going on here or here could I multiply some easy number like 2 or 3 or 4 by one of them to get the other one. Here's what I'm trying to say. To get from 5 to 8, there's nothing you can multiply by 5 to get to 8, right? But if you multiply 10 times 2, you get 20. So if we multiply 10 times 2, we get 20, right? And we already have positive negatives, so we don't have to worry about that, which we will in a minute here. But so what that means is that I need to multiply this entire equation by 2. Everything in the equation gets multiplied by 2 so that we get this 10 to turn into a 20 so that we have the same number. So that gives us negative 10x plus 20y equals 10. Be careful. Make sure you distribute that 2 to everything. I forget to often multiply by that coefficient, so don't forget that part. Everything gets multiplied. And then we still have our 8x minus 20y equals 0. But now we have that same coefficient and our opposite signs. So we are good to go, and we can add those two equations up, and we'll eliminate those y's. So negative 10x plus 8x gives us negative 2x. 10 plus 0 is 10. We need to divide by 2, and negative 2. X equals negative 5. So that part's just like the first video, okay? And then don't forget we need to take that, what x equals, put it back into any one of our equations. We now have 3 different equations we could put it into. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to pick the first one. Oops. It helps though if I do the right numbers. So negative 5 times negative 5 plus 10y equals 5. Negative 5 times negative 5 is 25 plus 10y equals 5. Subtract the 25. 10y equals negative 20. Divide by 10. And y equals negative 2. So our answer is the point negative 5, negative 2. Yes, that's a lot of work. Yes, it is. You absolutely must show all of this work to get to that answer. Let's try another one. So we need to look at our equation and think, okay, can I multiply something by one of these to get the other one? Well, there's nothing, obviously I can't multiply 10 by something to get 4 because that's smaller. There's nothing I can multiply by 4 to get to 10. Okay, so that's not going to do us any good. Now if we look at what's in front of our y's, in order to get to 8, we could multiply the 4 by a 2. 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, it's not always going to be 2, I promise. And they're already one's negative and one's positive, so I just need to multiply by a positive 2 here, and I will end up with a negative 8y. So let's do that. So don't forget to distribute by everything. So 2, whoops, I don't know what I'm doing. Losing my mind, that's what I'm doing. 2 times 10x is 20x. 2 times negative 4y is negative 8y, which is what we wanted, right? 2 times 8 is 16. And then we still have our negative 4x plus 8y equals 16. So you'll see here now, when we add this up, we're going to eliminate our y's. Remember, we're doing elimination, so we have to eliminate something. 20x plus negative 4x would be 16x. 16 plus 16 is 32. Divide by 16, and x equals 8. But of course, we have to put that back in to one of our equations. We have so many choices. Let's just do the first one. So 10 times 8 minus 4y equals 8. That's 80. Minus 4y equals 8. Subtract 80. Negative 4y equals negative 72. Y equals 18. Negative divided by negative is positive, so that's why it's positive. So our answer is the point 818. Again, all that work needs to be shown on your assignment today. I have one more, I think. I want to do this one. Sorry, that's so small. Remember, we need to be looking at this and thinking, look at my coefficients with my x's. Is there something I can multiply by 1 to get the other one? No, there's not. So let's look at our y's. And it won't always be your y's, sometimes it'll be your x's, okay? I'm sorry that all my examples are my y's. What can I multiply by 1 to get the other one? Well, let's look at the smaller one, 5. What can I multiply by 5 to get to 15? Well, 5 times 3 is 15. It's already positive and negative, so we can multiply by a positive 3. And I'm going to make this bigger up here. So we get 21x. Actually, we get 21x plus 15y equals 29. And then we solve the other one, so 8x minus 15y equals negative 29. Let's add those up. We get, remember our y's will cancel, so we get 29x equals 29 plus negative 29 is 0. So we divide by 29, and x equals 0, which is okay. That will happen a lot, actually. So now let's take that, put it back into one of those equations. It doesn't matter which one. I tend to do the first one just because it's there, because none of them are going to be any easier or whatever. So 21 times 0 plus 15y equals 29. So that's 0, so 15y equals 29. Oh, you know what? I did exactly what I told you not to do, didn't I? Well, silly me. Let me back up. See, this is exactly, we learned from our mistakes, right? What did I do wrong? Anybody remember? Anybody figure it out and is yelling at me right now? This shouldn't be 29, should it? It should be 3 times 29, which is 87. So sorry, but you know what? We all make mistakes, so I'm not going to do the video over. We're just going to go with it. So 87 plus negative 29 gives us, so that's 58, and that is still 29. X divide by 29. Oh, it's not going to be 0, is it? I'm pretty sure that's probably 2, yes. So X equals 2. And now we need to put it back in to any one of them. I think I'm going to put it in this one because the numbers are smaller. So 7 times 2 plus 5 times, oops, not times 2. What am I doing? Maybe I do need to just redo this one, huh? 5y equals 29. So that's 14 plus 5y equals 29. Subtract the 14. 15y equals, hey, 15. Divide by 15. And y equals 1. So our point is actually 2, 1. Okay, now I'm going to go back and do this one because there's something else I want to point out to you, and maybe I won't mess this one up, huh? So we need to look at our numbers first and say, okay, can I multiply something by 4 to get to 8? I can multiply by 2, right? But these are both negative, okay? So if you have the same sign, you need to multiply by a negative number. So we decided we're going to multiply by 2, but so we need to multiply by negative 2 so that we end up with an opposite sign. So again, if your signs are the same, either both negative or both positive, then you need to multiply by a negative number. So that would be, let me make sure, okay, so negative 2 times negative 4x would be 8x. Negative 2 times negative 5y would be positive 10y. Negative 2 times 9 equals negative 18. See, I learned from my mistake, and I'm remembering to make sure I do that step. And then we have negative 8x minus 8y equals 24. And we can add those up. We're going to eliminate our x's because they are now opposite signs and the same coefficient, so we can eliminate those. 10y plus negative 8y is 2y. Negative 18 plus 24 is going to be a positive 6. Divide by 2, y equals 3. So now we have y, because we eliminated our x's, so we need to put that back in for y. Be careful. And let's just use this first one again. So negative 4x minus 5 times 3, because remember we found y, so we got to put it in for y, not for x, equals 9. So negative 4x minus 15 equals 9. Add that 15. Negative 4x equals 24. Divide by negative 4. X equals negative 6. So our answer is the point negative 6, 3. Because remember, the first number is always our x, not the first number we found, but always our x goes first. So negative 6, 3 is our answer. I apologize for that little goof in the last example, but we all need to learn from our mistakes. And please, please, please ask in chat in Zoom when you have questions.